And so I'm just going to rename it to Twitter. I guess officially I'm done, but go a little bit further. And what I'm going to do is basically, you enter your username, hit a button, we'll call this have a lookup, and I'm just going to go off and be able to pull down some tweets from Twitter, and I want to display them on this, at the bottom of this form here. So I'm just going to create a list box, add a list box to the form. So I'm just again using the standard silverlight list box, we'll snap it there to the edge, make it nice and filled, and let's write some code to do that. So I'm going to go back to my code behind here, and instead of changing the title text, we'll get rid of that, I want to write some code that's going to do some network access to Twitter and pull down some tweets. So to use this, I'm going to use a class that people that use Silverlight already know today called Web Client. Lets me do some HTTP access. And I can say Twitter dot, and I'm going to say download a string asynchronously. And I'm just going to say one, get the URL right. So you can see here, pulling down from the Twitter API, using the username of the text box, and retrieving back an XML feed of the person's tweets. And I can then say Twitter dot and wire up a event handler. Oops, that's not it. Wire up an event handler so that when it completes, this function is going to get called, and I can write the code to basically parse the XML, populate the list box with the data. And to help with that, I'm going to create a class here called Twitter item, which is just a class that's going to have 3 public properties on it for the username, the message, and the image for the person's avatar. And then I just need to write the code that's going to parse the XML inside this method, create a bunch of Twitter items, and bind them to the list box. Now to do that, I'm going to take advantage of a library that's built into Silverlight called mix10. Just add a reference to it by project. And we'll add a using statement at the top. Like so. And then I can write some code inside here to use that mix10 library to parse that XML and create some Twitter items and bind it to the list box. And just so you don't have to watch me type, oops, that isn't it. I'm going to snip it here. You can see what that code looks like. And so basically I just check for an error, parse the XML, I write a nice little link expression against that, pull out the items, bind them to the list box. And now the list box will display them. Last thing I'm just going to do to make that list box look a little pretty is go in the XAML view, and I'm going to add a control template to that list box. Again, just using the standard approach you'd use today with Silverlight to make each item, instead of just sort of being an ugly string, come alive a little bit. Here's what that XAML looks like. I just have an item template with a data template, and I'm using some data binding inside here to bind the image source, username, and message property. And that's all the code we need to write. And now hit F5. Running and deploying to our emulator here. Can now type Scott Goo, hit lookup. It's going to go to Twitter, it's pull down my tweets, found in the list box.